Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We're live and on the air. The show is sponsored by John Jones, John Jones Real Estate. Going to roll down to Chattanooga. We got with us, he's in the National Hall of Fame, setting at 502 wins. He's 2-0 this year. We bring to the air live the head coach of the Boyd Buchanan Buccaneers, head coach Gary Rankin. How you doing tonight, Coach?
I'm doing great, Stuart. Thank you, man.
You're welcome. You're welcome. 49-8. You got all over Chattanooga Prep quick. The boys are feisty and they get after them quick, don't they?
We did, and in their defense, this transfer rule really hurt them. I mean, they had kids come out of there going to different places. They weren't quite the football team that they were last year. I mean, they had kids come to Murfreesboro. They just had a bunch of good players that I'm not saying took advantage of that transfer rule, but they used the transfer rule. So they weren't the ball club that they were the year before, and we jumped on them early, and it was sort of over.
You know, and that brings up a great topic. You know, if a kid wants to transfer into Boyd and he's coming to you and he wants to play with you, where do you start with that on any individual?
Well, I mean, it's probably, people don't understand, it's probably a little tougher to get in our place than it is in a public school. Because, you know, sometimes we have to have money to help pay for it. They have to have great grades. They have to have great character. You know, you just don't walk into some of the private schools like that. But, you know, the whole transfer rule I'm sort of against a little bit. You know, I saw some programs closed down basically because of it. And one of them over there in y'all's own county, I guess, or maybe Shelbyville. But, you know, Bell Buckle Webb closed down basically because people came in there and got their players. And, you know, I just hate to see that happen to a place like that. And King's Academy up in Knoxville, basically the same thing. You know, they were building their program. And I thought Coach Gay at Webb Bell Buckle was doing a good job. He was getting some good players in there. They were getting going a little bit. And, you know, this transfer rule popped up. And, you know, it basically closed their football program down. So I'm not a big fan of it. You know, I'm sure it's here to stay, but I think as coaches all over the state, we need to look at it. Georgia has got a good rule. You transfer one time in your high school career, and that's it. We got kids in high school now that's played at 3 or 4 different high schools. It's just not a good sight for me, I don't think, or for Tennessee football.
And, you know, you mentioned King's Academy. At one point, wasn't they a powerhouse at one point?
They were good.
Ago?
They were good.
Okay.
They were good, yeah. They had a pretty good program, and I thought Webb was on the way up, too. They had some nice-looking players, and, you know, when those players started coming out of there, and I think some of them went to Catholic, and they just, you know, these people poached on them and got a lot of their players, and they just couldn't survive because part of their deal, too, was having enough numbers. So I hate to see those programs close down like that, and hopefully something will happen where we can get this transfer rule under control a little bit. I'm not saying they don't deserve a chance to transfer, but I don't think you can transfer every time a coach hollers at you or something, you know.
Yeah.
You just walk into another program, another school. And I know Georgia has passed just here lately, the last 3 or 4 months, you can transfer one time, and that's fair. You can transfer one time in your high school, no questions asked. After that, you transfer again, you're ineligible for a year. So at least you know where you stand. Right now, I'm not really sure where we stand with the transfer people, but you know, it worries me a little bit.
Man, it's a great point, though, you bring to the table. You know, I mean, how to handle it. I mean, if you are going to do it, I do like what you're saying. Because really, how many freshmen really truly play varsity football?
Right.
So, you know,
and it was a case where the rich just got richer. I mean, the Oaklands, the Alcoas, I don't know, you know, some of those great programs just keep getting richer, and I think we need to focus a little, and not cutting them or anything or saying anything bad about them, but, you know, we need to look at our programs that are struggling a little bit and see if we can help them get numbers out and keep those lower programs from closing their program down. Or, you know, we got so many programs that are struggling now in the state of Tennessee with football. So I hope we get it under control sometime in next year too.
Well, and I mean, people, I'd love to see Laverne get down in numbers and go to 5A. I mean, I think that would be the ticket, is for Rutherford County to figure out a way, because down in that area, I mean, you know it and I know it, Sonny Gray was zoned for Laverne. I moved him to Smyrna. I got the one who did I got him his zoning exemption.
They have that success rate now in the private schools. If you have so much, the CPA moved up because of success rate.
Yes, sir.
Forth. But they need to look at the lower end teams too, and maybe if they've won 5 games in the last 5 years, maybe we need to allow them to drop down in classification for a year or two to try to get back on their feet and get their program built up and get some kids in those schools playing in those sports. So, it worries me a little bit about the way it's going a little bit.
Well, in Memphis, you think about Memphis and how hard it is to keep football teams funded and everything. I mean, and years ago, oh, you couldn't touch Memphis Ridgeway. And when was the last time Memphis Ridgeway was?
That's right. Ridgeway, Melrose, some of those places were powerhouses down there at one time. And a lot of stuff has changed, and a lot of more private schools have opened up. And so, but I don't know. I'm just, I hope we can keep our sport from going downhill too much.
Thank you for sharing that and going a little bit off on but we enjoy doing it. And, well, where does this put Boyd right now? I mean, you've worked this week. You've got 2 games under you. How do you feel as you look at Lakeway Christian Academy sitting at 1-1 as you get ready to go into battle?
It's funny, and I didn't mean to go off on that.
No, I enjoyed it.
Lakeway, but Lakeway was coming back with an average football team, and overnight they got good because 9 or 10 kids from King's Academy who closed their program down enrolled at Lakeway.
Wow.
So they got good. They got good overnight almost. And it was kids that were really good players. King's Academy had some good players. They just didn't have a lot of numbers. But I think 8 or 9 or 10 of those guys as a bunch transferred to Lakeway, and it changed them overnight. They got a really good football team right now. They got plenty of linemen, which they didn't have. So they changed themselves overnight.
Well,
and they're a good football team.
And so, what do they like to do, Coach? What is their?
Well, they're throwing it around. They've got a new coach in from Georgia. He was in a great program down there, so they got a new coach. They've got a great staff. They've really made some huge strides in their program in 1 year. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a battle. If our kids are thinking about what happened last year, what they saw last year, it's a whole different deal. So they throw it well. They play really good defense. Their defensive line is really, really good. So it's going to be a battle.
Penalty-wise, did you feel like you did okay Friday night, just managing the game, the boys managing the game?
We did. We've cleaned up some things, and we're continuing to try to clean up some things. I think one thing our kids don't realize, and I told them today in not so kind of voice, we're sort of hunted now. When I first came here, nobody even thought anything about Boyd. And, we're one of the hunted ones now. Everybody wants a little piece of Boyd. Everybody wants a little piece of Alcoa.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a little piece of Oakland. And those kids got to realize that's weekly. That's not just when Riverdale rolls into town. Everybody would like to leave Oakland High School with a victory or Alcoa High School, and now it's getting that away with Boyd. So, you got to stand up to that responsibility, and you got to fight those people off if you're going to try to keep your program at the high level.
No question, and you got to keep that in the frame of mind. This is if this is not a difficult place to come play, our house and the grounds we play on, then nobody's going to fear the place when they get off the bus. And when I first got into it, and I started coming down there to Riverdale with Philip, I mean, you felt the energy the minute you got out of the car.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
So, when you get your program to a certain level, you got to be able to take that responsibility on. And I'm not really sure we can do that right now. We'll find out next 3 or 4 weeks. But I'm not sure if our kids have got to that point right now. But, I mean, it was that way when I was at Alcoa. We knew it didn't matter if it was jamboree, scrimmage, or whatever. Somebody was coming in there to try to get a little piece of you. So I think that's important. Our kids understand, you got to prepare hard every week. It doesn't matter. And you got to be on your toes every week.
Good holiday, Coach. Did you have a good holiday?
Great holiday. Everything's been good.
Coach, we can't thank you enough for being on Inside the Headset. Good luck Friday night against Lakeway Christian, and go Buccaneers.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.